for a service like this.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. And now we're live, and we got
Oh,
Gary.
we're
We
just
got
we're just going live.
we're just gonna go live. I'm gonna go really surprising you today. Yeah, not even giving you a heads up or anything.
I'm
When
totally not playing with the duo on my desk right now. That's totally
no,
not what's happening.
absolutely not. Juan's gonna basically be ducking out of this entire live stream today, just to have fun with his
I,
new baby.
I am listening.
He
I
will be
just
listening.
might visually be paying attention to
Uh,
something else. I feel like I've spent all day with Jeff. Jeff has just been rocking live streams all day.
I was, dude. Yes, for
I
sure.
love to see it with Greg and Gary the fireman.
Slow Mo
I
Joe's
mean,
in there.
I think Gary even caught some of because I also had the audio review. I did the Vivo
Mhm.
audio deep dive,
You dropped that in today, yeah.
and so it's just been a lot of me talking. Oh, and Sam, he's got a
Oh,
duo too. So I'm not alone. I've got another duo two buddy
so it seems
to
like
hang out with.
a few of you guys got lucky enough to be able to go pick them up from Best Buy because Microsoft's not able to ship their own device on what? How did that happen?
I was so bummed out. Okay, so this actually does throw kind of a wrench in what my plans were.
Uh,
I wanted to
oh,
order the
okay.
Duo 2 from Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
because the way they do their trade-in program, I would have had a couple days overlap. So I could have traded in a Duo 2,
Mm-hmm.
I mean my
Uh,
Duo 1 to get
oh,
my Duo 2, but I still would have had both to shoot a little B-roll, comparisons.
yeah, yeah.
Like I would have had a little time to sort that all out.
Most companies allow you to do that when you're doing trade-ins.
For
Is
sure.
you buy
Yeah.
they activate it once you receive it. Yeah.
So I ordered through Microsoft late, and I was expecting to get it like end of October.
Okay.
I mean it's October
I,
21st,
w-
but I
I
mean
was
like
about to say end of October
like
next week. So yeah.
the last days of the last week of October. I was kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
in
yeah.
that ballpark. Then it got bumped, and it got bumped to November 4th, and I'm like, okay, that's not great, but I could survive that. And then it got bumped to November 14th. It got
What?
bumped like another 10 days. And then last night, I go and check my order status at Microsoft just to see, because I know
Uh-huh.
they're landing retail today.
Yeah.
And I go in and it doesn't even have an estimated date anymore. It just says order in progress. And you're like, what does that mean? So I contact Microsoft and they're like, yeah, we don't have an ETA for when we're going to be able to ship you a
Oh, okay.
Duo
So I would have
2.
imagined when you say in progress, that means it's basically being shipped, but that's not true. So now,
Nope.
okay.
So
So does Best
so
Buy
I
let you do? Well, you can't do
I
trade-ins at Best Buy.
scrambled this morning.
Uh huh.
I was tweeting it out because I kind of went through all of that last night. Like, ugh, I'm just
Well, I
gonna be
saw you
crazy
talking
late.
to
But
Viper about trying to go pick it up, so I
so
saw it.
I tweeted it and he was like, yeah, I think they might have some. And
Yeah.
so literally as soon as I tweeted with Viper, I went to Best Buy's website, ordered one on Best Buy. It was immediately
Clear
available for
available to
pickup as
pick up.
soon as the store opened. I drove over and picked it up, but I didn't want to do a Best Buy trade-in because then I would have had to have given my Duo 1
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah,
pickup.
yeah, yeah. Exactly,
So
exactly.
instead of getting my Duo 2 at a comfortably reduced price, I'll be spending time with the Duo 2 full MSRP.
Well, actually, you know what? I'll say this. I may be wanting to pick up the first Duo from you. I actually,
Okay,
I may want to rock the first. I
we
don't
can chat.
mind. I don't mind that the first one is, not the same features, but I think the benefit of what it offers and just the presence of what it is, I may want to just pick that up for you.
We
So
we
let's.
we uh we could definitely chat, or also maybe talk about some trades because you might have some older phones that I might want to spend some quality time with too. But we can talk about that later because right
Yeah.
now I am still wrapping up all of my apps and installs for this bad
Okay.
boy right here.
I have to say this right
It's
now.
just real
I
pretty.
am loving. I realize it's a fingerprint magnet and I can see them
Yeah,
all around, but that's an amazing color.
it's
It
such a
is
piano black.
so nice. It's clean. It's like seriously like that look, and it matches the front a lot more. Don't get me wrong, the white one looked really good, but I feel like this is the right color. And yeah, Nvidia doesn't know what to
I
focus on. It's okay.
I I think, I mean, now that I've spent time with both, and I'm really glad that they had the Obsidian in stock at Best Buy because it's the one that I wanted to spend time with.
Hmm.
It's even more why I kind of like having a skin on the Duo. I don't think white ages very well, And if I'm doing some of my close-ups and the plastic, this white band that goes
Mm-hmm.
along the bottom,
Yeah.
because this phone has spent so much time just propped up like this
Mm-hmm.
in my kitchen, in my living room. I've kind of lightly spilled a little bit of stuff on it while
All right.
eating dinner. Nothing too serious. It's still functioning just great. But this is my replacement Duo,
Oh,
and
that's right.
it's
That's right.
already starting to mildly discolor on the white plastic. I don't think white, especially when we've got plastic trim, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think white is a good, like, it doesn't age well.
It's a tough, yes, especially when, like you said, because it's plastic. I think that's the biggest concern as time goes on, and it is the surface that most of the time this isn't on your inside of your pocket. It's on the table. It's going to be rubbing
Mhm.
against things. But I'm glad that this is actually the second one. I see Andrew's in there with us. David Burns is in there. Oh man, everybody's hanging out with us tonight, man. Hope you guys are
I
doing well.
love
Oh,
it.
Renesh is in there as well. Oh, Slow Mo Joe, I think we already saw it before. So the first thing I'll probably say is you're ready to do your review, though, right?
Yeah, full review.
Full review,
I mean,
editorial,
it's
everything,
obviously
pictures.
garbage. There's no reason why anyone should buy anything other than Sam
So
Apple.
Microsoft
So
missed the
only
mark
buy
again.
Sam Apples.
Is that would that be title? Microsoft Surface Duo missed the mark again, or no?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, El Duo dos.
maybe Gen 3, and I'll do like a real serious photo, like looking at the hinge,
Mm-hmm.
because that still gets eyeballs, because you'd have to be functionally incapable of dressing yourself in the morning to not look at this hardware and realize just what a radical achievement
It
this form factor is.
is the
But
hinge
and then after
as
that, I can say,
uh
but it's totally not worth it for anybody, because average consumers only Snapchat. So that's why you don't want to buy it.
I know. So I'm glad that you're able to clear it up because I was worried about that. And I saw your live stream. I was in it, in and out kind of. I was editing a video in the middle of when you decided to go live. So I
I was
normally,
editing a video when I
yeah,
was
it
trying to
was
go
like
live.
no, and you're like okay. So I wanted to listen to you at the beginning, so I didn't catch the beginning part because I was finishing the audio because I'm listening to the clips because I didn't want to make sure to hear every single piece. So as soon as I was done editing audio portions of it, and I was just doing overlays and stuff, I just flipped
Hmm.
on and turned on your thing. So and then I saw you sitting there waiting for a massive update, which is typical. I think they did the same exact thing with the first
Same
Duo when it
thing.
first. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Day of
600
launch.
meg.
Yeah, major software update.
So anyone who is watching the reviews that are out, the reviews, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to do this. I don't want to be this snarky. They're not reviews. They're
Mm.
already out of date assessments. They are obsolete assessments as to what it feels like to use the Duo. And
Because it got
I've tried, and I can't hang with any of these videos because that's not the experience that I already have in my hand today.
no, it's a different experience, and everybody that picks it up is a different experience than what they were experiencing. If there was any problems, any bugs, any issues, all of those may have been fixed by this. And in
For
the
sure.
like I said, the weird thing that I always wondered is why do we not have the ability as creators, or content creators of our own content, the ability of re-uploading a video? You know what I
I
mean?
would
Like I
love
think,
for YouTube to give us the ability to like make videos modular, so that we can say
yeah,
like, "Hey, I wanted to check back in on this. It's this is Juan from the future. 6 months later, this thing that I had a problem with, totally
or
fixed now."
absolutely. And this is what like it almost like again the ability of just segmenting the pieces or replacing them, or even just it for me because I typically keep my video timelines and raw files for at least
Hmm.
about a year from my video in case I ever have to
Yeah.
touch it. Just let us re-upload the same file to the same library, to the same location.
Link.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and then just put it under the video saying this video has been updated since originally launched in blah blah blah. It's
for sure.
it's something that I like to this day. I don't think it's one any on anybody's eyes or on anybody at YouTube's focus. I will say I did notice YouTube did put one new feature in the copyright tool. I don't know if you use that often. If
Um,
you check your copyrights, see if anybody's copying your content online.
mhm.
There is a feature now that says prevent any future uploads of the same content to be uploaded. So it adds it to the I guess the content ID technical measurement. So if anybody ever tries to upload, because there was a video that I did on the Neo 2 from Realme. If anybody ever tries to upload my video one more time, as it's going through the content ID in the upload process, it checks it off now, so people cannot upload, and don't have to go hunt for them. So that was
Well, that's good.
actually I was surprised to see that feature, and I'm happy
Yeah,
that it's
that's
in there.
great.
So
I'll have to take a look at that because I still have lots of my videos getting ripped off.
yeah, most of mine are like the Realme, the Xiaomi, the Infinix 11 Pro, the short video that I did. It was just copied and re-uploaded, so it's not one of those. Either way, I just felt like it would be nice to mention something good in the YouTubes. I don't want to always make it
Yeah.
sound like it's negatives. So you're playing with a couple of new things. So now you're going to be playing around
Hmm.
with the Pixel 6 Pro, and you're going to be
Hmm.
playing around with the Duo Do. Wow. Yeah, you're going to be
Hmm.
busy.
I
You're
mean,
going to
it's
be super
Tech-tober.
big. It is
I,
absolutely. Yeah, but you're like
I
doubling up. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah, well, and I also have one or two other like smaller things that I
yeah, yeah.
can't talk about
Talk about
yet,
okay.
like some accessories. Oh, I mean, I
Yeah.
can say, I mean, I did get the OnePlus earbuds. I still
Oh,
need to
nice.
finish my review on the edifiers.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other pair of audio kit. I can't remember what it is now. I've got a list, and if
I'm.
I don't look at the list, then it evaporates from my brain.
It's a good thing to
So
have a
there,
list. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you gotta. I'm already terrible at production management. So the the Techtober this year is going to be solidly busy, and the exciting thing is, I mean, obviously we can't say a whole lot about Pixel because we are on the embargo, and we should probably talk about embargoes because I know that's a
It
hot
feels
topic right
great
now.
in the hand. It is.
It does.
It feels great in the
That's all
hand.
you really need to know. It's
Exactly.
not going to
And
slice your hand open. It's not made out of like
no.
rusted razor blades,
And there's some nice accessory cases that you can pick up.
right?
I kind of like the one that they sent. I'm kind of surprised that
It's not
like
bad.
I was expecting the fabric one, but they didn't make fabric
Yeah, they're
this
not
year.
doing them those this year. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I did end up picking up a leather case for it off of Etsy.
Really?
So Mark, Mark, we know Mark. So he tweeted that he picked up one for I think from the same people that made the casing for our Pixelbook Go. I forgot the name of the
Oh,
company.
okay.
But that one's like for us $50, and I was like, I wasn't really sure to pay $50 for a case. I know leather's really nice, so I went
Hmm.
on Etsy and I looked up a little bit. I found some, like as you can imagine, somebody that does leather cases and they make them, and I even engraved it with Tarek TK Bay on it, just to make sure that I can never give this case away to anybody.
Nice. No, that's great though.
But it is. So the color, everybody got different colors, and I was hoping everybody would get like something.
Hmm.
So this way, at least, I get to enjoy the backing or the case cover that I want on the back. So either way, yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just rambling over accessories.
So,
When you
I
said
mean,
accessories, that's what kicked in.
yeah. I'm kind of I'm thinking I might try and get the Moment case.
Okay. Yeah, I saw
So
that one.
Moment
Yeah, I
already
saw
has the bayonet case for their lens,
Brandon posted that one. Yeah.
and it's not prohibitively expensive, but I'm thinking like this is one where because I'm grateful for being on Team Pixel that they've
Oh,
done such a good job of putting phones out into the hands
mm-hmm.
of creators, especially channels our size. I feel like it's kind of on me to spend a little bit more money on accessories to really encourage, like, to put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna actually buy the Moment case because I've been all about creator hardware,
So I was gonna
and I
say,
want to try their bayonet mount.
okay. So you don't think the small rig will work for you the way the one you just
Oh,
got?
it will. The
Okay.
thing with the SmallRig is built around iPhone-y kinds of phones.
Yeah,
And
typically it
and
is.
the major problem, especially going from I would say iPhone 11 Pro on, and all of these new like mega camera sensor Android phones, is the tolerance
Mm-hmm.
for the back of the phone against the front of the mount is now too
There's not
is
enough
now
clearance.
gone. Yeah, there's
Okay.
not enough clearance. So what happens is the top edge of the phone just kind of gets pushed up against a metal edge,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to slotting into this little like metal sleeve that they've put. So this is a solvable solution. Really, all I need to do is get a bracket and two of those hex screws. And what I
Okay.
can do is make like a sponge pad so that the phone will push up against that. And then
Mm-hmm.
if I just get a washer, just like a little foam or rubber washer,
Rubber
I
washer.
can
Yeah.
put that around the back of the mount that goes for where the lens module goes. And so I can still block light, it'll still act like a hood, but the phone is going to be ever so slightly angled away from the back plate. And especially on
Oh.
phones like the Pixel, I'm very anxious about that because with that much pressure at the very bottom, I guess I should say the very bottom edge of this
Hmm.
curve, I don't want SmallRig pushing up against curving glass.
No,
I
I'm
really
with you.
think that's gonna shatter this visor at some point.
Hmm.
And until I can kind of better buffer and pad, I'd like to have a case that could also use a bayonet mount and maybe one of these fancy ND filters.
Yeah.
So that's
And
kind
deep
of the
filters are
that's
always
kind of the
going to
game
be
right now.
okay. I see. Gary just apparently Gary is in the game, man. Gary's going to be getting his 6 Pro
Yeah.
hopefully in November. Uh, I don't know if you've tried, if anybody in the chat has tried looking into trying to order a P6 Pre or a P6 Pro. They're in January now. They are in
Yeah.
January 12th, as of this morning. They could potentially be in February by the time we're doing the show. The Pixel 6 is, I'll say this. Kudos for Google for putting in the budget that was needed to promote this. Like serious
Yeah.
actual amount of money, weeks ahead of time. It was, you could see the phone at the Pixel store in New York, but West Coast never gets love, things like that. And I'm really enjoying the fact that we're like the hype was so nice, like finally about like a company and a brand that we all love, to finally actually materialize. And then of course the event was sound, and there was a lot of things. I didn't see them talk about the newsstand, although that one looks like it's coming up soon.
Um,
And then there's the Pixel Pass, which they didn't mention a word of, but it is also a new thing. Surprising, right? Like
yeah.
a page from Apple, a little, kind of,
Well,
except that
and
they have all the services.
and that's just it. Is like I feel like there's so much that we can say and we can compare. This is Google trying to do something Samsung-y. This is Google trying to do something Apple-y. But there seems to be this just one core grounding idea that Google is a software services company, and
Yeah.
everything seems to be complementing that idea. So even when you look at Pixel Pass and all the things that Pixel Pass derive, obviously there's some things like expanded warranty stuff. Okay, cool.
But which I think is a
But
good idea. Yeah.
so much of it, I just turned on 4 phones on my desk. Saying AG. Sorry, no, turn off. Stop it. Okay. The one that was the hardest to turn Google Assistant off on was the Microsoft branded product. It really wanted to talk to me right then.
Hey. Hey.
Very anxious. So, but I'm sorry. Like the corny point that I'm making though is, even though there are some of these ideas that are being cribbed, this is the Google iPhone, as my dermatologist adorably called it the day before the Pixel reveal. I'm feeling really positive on the Google flavor of all of these strategies. It doesn't feel like just a cheap ripoff of a Samsung or an
Oh,
Apple strategy.
yeah.
There are definitely some ideas being cribbed,
Hmm.
but it's got a very specific Google. And I think this is going to help because
Yeah.
I don't believe any one phone is for average consumers. That does not exist.
Hmm.
There is no one size fits all solution, and it makes the Pixel easier to talk about when we can kind of hone in on who might appreciate some of these differences and some of this design and some of this performance, and who should probably stay away
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's something very fresh and very specific about these kinds of conversations. That conversation on a Duo, really easy. That conversation on a Pixel, a lot more broad.
It is, and especially since we have the difference between the 6 and 6 Pro are they're minor, but they're specific. Like there's to top it off, obviously the pricing that they decided to go with, very aggressive.
Super
Like
aggressive.
like they're undercutting OnePlus, they're undercutting Google, not Google, sorry, Samsung,
Samsung.
OnePlus, Apple, anybody else that was selling phones. And I think honestly, if LG was selling phones, they maybe would have tried to even undercut them at some point.
Yeah.
It's a very aggressive pricing as to start with the Pro at $899 with 128, and at its best, it's $1,100, which is still $400 cheaper than
That's
both the
insane.
S21 Ultra with 512 and the iPhone 12, 13 Pro Max. There's so many names. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
reality is it's a very like kudos, seriously. I'm very happy that they did what they did. They learned what they wanted to learn. They saw what was working for others, and they applied that methodology, I would say, to them. I'm still working on my own little, thing, testing different things, using it, trying to kind of like getting or breaking it in. But I'm almost tempted to say I'm seriously wanting to sway away from Samsung. Like the S21 Ultra for me right now has been a staple because of the cameras. I'm not going to deny that they
Sure.
have very good cameras for comparable devices, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Pixel 6 Pro does for me. I'm hoping it does take me away and just basically makes me go back to that feeling I had with the Pixel 4 XL. That's why I kind of showed it in my unboxing. And I said it in the video. The Pixel 4 XL, I had the hardest time taking my SIM card out of it. Like every time I wanted to, I would have a problem. Like I would take it out for a day and
Yeah.
put it back in. Like it would be,
You
it's
know,
it's a tough one. So I'm
so
hoping.
I mean, especially for me because I'm the LG shill.
Oh,
V50
absolutely.
era, V50 became like my main workhorse productivity gadget.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like everything about V50 was just, it's a great computer. It's got a good desktop mode. It's not as good as Dex, but it's super functional. I love the cameras. It was still one of the most formidable options for
Hmm.
4K 60 on both the main and the ultra wide, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure everyone's heard me do this before, but I had the hardest time. Like my SIM card was almost evenly split between V50 and Pixel 4. And there are some interesting things happening with Pixel 6. And
Hmm.
again, just like all of these phones that we're kind of messing with coming to the end of the year, I've already got a sort of the backbone of a script in my brain for pitting
Hmm.
this up against the Vivo, because
Oh,
Vivo
okay.
completely blindsided me with the X70 Pro Plus. I mean, it's an incredible achievement, and it's the most camera I've ever reviewed on a phone. And the Pixel is joining a similar conversation, but in a very different way. And
Hmm.
so when we really start putting these kinds of differences together, the end of the year for me becomes even more exciting because each of these flavors becomes more specific. The Duo
Yep.
conversation, wholly unique to
I
mini tablet fans. The
I was
Pixel
gonna say.
conversation,
Hmm.
very focused on services and software and the Google flavor of that kind of conversation.
And it is
The
heavily in the past is definitely focused on that. Yeah.
mhm. So I mean, to me that becomes a lot more interesting than just I'm gonna say tech is boring when I'm in between Samsung announcements. Like I feel like
Nothing
so much
exists
of
in that
the
void. Yeah. Everything else,
yeah,
just sweep it under the table. Wait for the next Samsung to be released.
because
Uh,
why?
well, I mean, and speaking of Samsung, so okay, so this week was weird. We started off with Mac. I'm sorry, with Apple
Hmm.
on Monday. So we talked about the
Major
new,
announcement from Apple. Yeah.
absolutely, the major improvement not Windows. I was going to say in the M1 process. The M1 Pro, and then I think the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. But mostly
So
for
take that,
basically
leakers, with your M1X.
X, and it's
Didn't
like,
didn't didn't wasn't an M1X, was it?
no, man, it was.
Boom.
I'm actually super. So here's the thing. I do use a MacBook, but I'm still using an i9 version of the MacBook. I mean, obviously they're starting to put true workhorse level experiences, or basically horsepower processing power, in the
Yeah.
M1 chipsets. So I got very excited, but not excited enough to say basically I'm willing to sell my MacBook just to kind of go get the next one. So
Sure.
to me, it's more of the I'm so excited to see how things kind of come up in the near future. More devices, more support for software that actually works, and for me, mostly enterprise level experiences, not I would say consumer based. Like Final Cut, to me is I know it's like more prosumer, but it's a
Hmm.
tool that's considered to be used by the general public. I have some, other applications that we use for my day job that we typically need on our system. So I'm looking forward to see how those things come up. And
Yeah,
if
I
it
think
ever
the chat's
does,
already beating you to the punch here, though, because Barry and Gabaletta are all basically just calling out Samsung because it was such
I was
a
trying to
weak
long it,
sauce.
I was going
No,
to say, I was trying
they're
to
just
make
like
it to
going
that.
straight to the finish line. It was so weak. We
It
knew
had
that this was going to be a heavy week for Google,
cool.
and
Yeah. And
Apple
bespoke.
had something legit to share. I still
Bespoke.
feel like Apple could have given Google a day, but
Oh,
no.
absolutely. I
So
think Apple could have done it totally last week. There was no reason to do it on
but the
Monday
Samsung
other
event
than,
was
Yeah.
was irrelevant.
I was like, what is this?
There's nothing there.
Dude, have they heard of skins? I wanted to send a message right in the middle of the show. I'm like, is this Moto Maker, or are you trying to tell me that skins don't exist? I'm sure
But
D
it's
brand.
bespoke.
It's bespoke for my friend. It is bespoke. So
He's
okay.
from Chop. It's like is so thirsty for Samsung. Hey guys,
I know.
guys, pay attention to us. We've got all the big YouTubers that say nice things about us.
No, but it was like such a weird. Look, I'm not going to deny the fact that the idea of providing us a customization for our device is
Sure.
nice. Did it
Yeah,
need it?
I want
Did
Moto
it
Maker
need?
back too.
That's
But
what no. That's what I tweeted. The first thing I turned on the show because it was at 7 a.m. of all times, and then I was watching and I was like, wait a minute, is Moto Maker back? Like did I forget the memo? Did Motorola just drop Moto Maker in Samsung's lap or something? The idea and what they do is interesting, but I don't understand the pricing. Why is it an extra $100 to get a color plate that you would have normally been? I mean, it's not like they're creating it specifically, right? These are the
right.
colors they offered before. They're making them for everything, so it costs an extra 100 because it's a
Because
custom.
reasons.
I
Again, because Samsung has been playing stupid games with their pricing. They've been trying to corner the market through absurd trade-in deals, which wreck the used market.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
their sales are tanking on their premium line of Galaxy S. They are down 40%. They've never sold more phones in the history of the company. They have sold more phones this year to date than they did to this date last year and the year before. Sales are way, way up, but not on their crown jewel products that are the
No,
aspirational, get people excited stuff. That's way, way down.
well, so what I felt like it was yesterday. So what I felt like yesterday's show was their way of doubling down on the Z Flip being their
Yeah.
foldable of choice.
Oh, yeah.
But it kicked me when I found out that the price for this specific version, the bespoke edition, was going to be more
Yeah.
because of no other reason than they are swapping. I mean, I realize it mechanically, it's a different machining process. It has to be
Sure.
specifically designed piece. I totally get it, but it's not like some person is sitting there doing it. And for it to be $100 more for that only for those color
Hmm.
combinations, which are very specific, I didn't understand. So to me, don't get me wrong. Somebody may love it. Somebody may jump on it, and it'll be there.
And that's just it. I hope
But
people do.
yeah,
I hope the person who is that specific about the color and the aesthetic of their phone, that this is something they can gravitate towards.
yeah.
Because back in the Moto Maker day, I've got my Captain America Moto X2. It's the white front face, the Horween blue leather, the red accents on the buttons.
Hmm.
I love the
But
look of that
that's the
phone.
customization level that I was hoping Bespoke would have done, right? Other than a backplate. That's all I'm getting is a backplate. No special color buttons, no special frame around the glass, like maybe different color glass or something. So
Yeah.
overall, like as everybody was saying, it was kind of like Apple kind of was like boom, Google boom, 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 and then Samsung was like, "Yippa, we're here." But
That's all that I can muster for Samsung event is.
I hope that the Flip does what they hoped that it would do. It isn't a device for me, I know that much. But
Sure.
again, and then there
I
was
still
the
feel if anyone is interested in foldables and they're not that concerned about plastic displays, the Flip is the best example we've had of
yeah,
making
no,
a
no,
consumer facing product yet.
absolutely. I don't know about the bespoke
Excuse
version
me.
of it, but definitely if you want to try
But yeah,
the
and also just picking whatever color option is normal color option now is going to be pretty easy considering that they've got the bespoke edition
oh,
out there.
absolutely. Hashtag
So
not sponsored by D brand, Extreme Skins, or anybody this. But seriously, have they heard of skins? It's like it's been a thing. Look, the notebook of a duo exists because Juan Carlos went to the bespoke edition. That's the bespoke duo one, right? One, it's bespoke. I don't know.
hold on.
Then
I'm writing really deep poetry and thoughts here in my composition notebook.
I love it. I completely forgot to read about the Samsung cover. David Burns, it didn't even hit. It's not even on the register. Yeah, it was that kind of weak sauce, unfortunately. Um, and I felt bad because they made it sound like it was an unpacked, and it was like there was no unpacking. This
Well,
is
and
yeah.
I feel like this is my feeling.
Hmm.
Obviously, Samsung would never give me any kind of insight because we don't talk. I have a very combative relationship with Samsung PR. I don't like them. The feeling I get is this was really supposed to be an FE event,
I thought I
and
was totally looking into,
they were
yeah,
scrambling. Like you lock that date in a year in advance, and you're saying like this is our target, this is when we're looking, maybe we need to push the actual release a couple weeks, but this is when we announce.
yeah, yeah.
And you get to that and you're like, it is so far away and the component shortages are so severe, it really doesn't make sense for us to do this. Let's just go with what our mini announcement was going to be, bespoke flip, and then we'll try to make a bigger deal out of that. But for all of the terrible experiences I've had with Samsung PR, I gotta say a bit of Schadenfreude. I really want to be a bigger man and say like, you know what? I'm sure that was very stressful and very difficult for them, but I have butted heads against their PR so badly over so much time. I'm gonna kind of just giggle away this one and go play with all of the really fun toys that I'd rather be playing with
Yeah.
and just not lose any sleep over a mediocre Samsung announcement.
I think the announcement itself. So I think Gabriela, I can't say it. Um, Juan, can you help me with this one?
Gabaletta?
Gabriela, yep, thank you. Gabriela is actually saying that there was some rumors talking about the fact that the FE was
Yeah.
pushed out till January.
That's exactly what I mean. Is
Yeah, yeah,
the rumors? I believe those. I believe that as we get through the holidays, we'll probably see sort of a softer launch for an
yeah.
FE.
Or
But
out of the
FE
blue, it's available on the website and nobody there's no
exactly.
event. Yeah,
FE has been in production or has been in design since the last FE, and I'm sure that the process for moving a massive organization like Samsung is you got to plan that stuff out a year to 18 months in advance. So there's a
yep,
date on the calendar and they're saying like, "Hey, this is when we announce and this is our general time frame for shipping." And if the shipping time frame just got wrecked by components, it doesn't make sense to announce, but you still have the date on the
exactly.
calendar and
Yeah, which and you have to show something. Yeah,
there were other things you were going to piggyback. The big announcement of the FE carries another accessory or case or bespoke flip panels. You know, like the FE is the big announcement, and then other things get to piggyback on that and get additional media coverage. But when Samsung says, "Hey, we got to bounce the FE," you got to play the hand you're dealt, and the only thing you have left is
is
Z Flip
Z,
Bespoke.
yeah, Z Flip. Yeah, it's one of those. Either way, and of course, Gabriela to jump in one more time with, of course, another thing that I saw that I'm
Yeah,
having
that
a
was
very
today,
hard
right?
time. That was today, the
Yeah.
A7 IV. So
So I was
I've
rolling
been,
around in the dirt taking macro photos with the Surface Duo 2. You know
oh
what
man,
camera I would much rather have been using today?
the Surface, no,
Eh,
the
The A7
A7 IV.
IV. Yeah,
So I have the A7 III, and I'm honestly the only thing I would really want is the 4K 60. That's about the only reason why I would want to get it.
for
Because the
sure.
4K 60, because that's one thing I lack. So the A7 III has been my when we used to travel, when we used to go to event kind of thing. It
Yeah,
was my travel camera. Not vlogging, but like B-roll, good B, the high-end camera that you can take with you, but you're more comfortable being behind because it didn't
yeah.
have the flippy display. There's a lot of functional things, but I'm really considering it. I don't know how much money I can get for the A7 III to be able to
I
flip
mean,
it.
it still probably get you a good chunk of the way there,
Oh,
but
absolutely. I think with the fact that I mean, this is the time to flip, basically, obviously. Um, but I'm starting to kind of look forward to also when do we start going out? I mean, CES for me is the next thing, possibly, depending
yeah.
how things are going.
And CES is
Uh,
looking like a weaker and weaker maybe for me
it,
to go cover
yeah,
in person. So
and it's more about. I mean, honestly, it would have been more fun just to have you with me, just to kind of hang out and kick it.
yeah, I
Do
mean,
do
literally,
that.
you would be the major reason I would go to a CES in person, and I don't want you to think like I'm saying you're not enough, but
I heard that. I actually, that's what I just heard. I
if you
heard you
felt
breaking
that,
up
I'm
with me.
sorry.
So, guys, this is
So
what's happening. Juan's breaking up and he's just leaving the show. And
wow,
Juan
that
comes
got
up with
dark.
like
fast.
And Juan would be like, TK, that's not what I said. I just said I'm not going to go to CES and see you there.
I feel
It's the
like
same thing. It's a
that's
TikTok. Come on, everybody
that,
knows it.
there was a lot of pressure on that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Kind of concerned.
No. I honestly, one of my favorite times at CES was when you and I hung out for that day. We hit up Shake Shack at night. It's just having a team work an event like this, especially a team that works well. It's always fun. This is also going to be one of the first years I'm going there by myself. So it's one of those things like TK is going there. It's not TK from part of anything. It's just going to be me, covering it. So I'm actually excited to show up and hopefully we'll see who shows up. I mean, I don't know if it actually will happen. I haven't reserved anything as far as lodging and stuff like that. So I'm planning. We'll see how that goes.
So I feel like Barry's coming in as the voice of reason. Like, hey, let's stay together.
Get there. You're not allowed. And it's like Barry just like, Barry, you're not allowed to break up. All jokes aside.
But my statement is true. Like Barry's word is bond there. So I feel like now we got to make it work.
It was a bad attempt on my end to reenact a TikTok. If you haven't seen it, then you probably don't know. But yeah, no, I know. We'll get through it. We're the team who can.
You say we're turning into a drama channel. You know what? I do kind of want to get some more drama.
We'll get more
off my
views.
chest.
Yeah,
I know this is best of our week, and we should be focusing on tech.
Okay.
I mean, I have a little bit more insight into the failure, just the utter failure of my Surface Pen not charging for my unboxing.
For the unboxing, yeah.
But I wanted to talk to you because I feel there is a current lopsided FUD conversation happening right now with the Pixel 6 Pro.
Okay.
And this ring, clutching of pearls and wringing of hands over Google staging an embargo.
Oh, the dual embargo.
TK, did you know that if Google had any faith in their product, why would they have an embargo? What are they trying to hide, TK?
Oh my God.
What are they trying to hide?
I never thought of it this way. You're right. Maybe it is something I need to be worried about.
Flags.
Massive
Do you see
red
them?
flag.
They're flags, and they're red, and they're big.
So when Samsung makes an announcement, sends device to reviewers, and they all release their videos 2 days before the device is available to be purchased, because there was obviously an embargo there. Yeah. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's totally acceptable.
Fine. Yeah, well, I mean, that's correct. That is the right way to do it.
Do it in secret. That's exactly what you do.
Right.
And then when Apple does the exact same situation, and you wake up one day and your inbox is filled with Apple, Sam, whatever,
early access. They had the phone for 2 weeks. Yeah, totally. No, I mean, I'm going with you. I'm with you. I completely agree.
I totally.
Apple
I think
good, Samsung good.
Google, shame on you.
Ooh, did you say Google and embargoes?
Dual
nether
embargoes.
Pucker.
I don't understand why people. So I saw the chat. I think I remember there was Frankie Tech was doing the chat, and the fact of dual embargoes and so on. The conversation is, none of us are. So the fact that most of the people that got their devices, except for the press that have had them for however long prior, which that's the way Google's been doing it. We just got our devices literally either the day of or the day after the announcement.
So this is what kills me is the people complaining the most about the embargo are the people who benefited from even earlier access.
Oh, that's even okay. Okay.
So when a humongous YouTube channel gets to put out the same kind of hands-on and unboxing, first impressions, whatever video, and they were able to put that out with the prettiest of B-roll, which obviously took them time to shoot and edit.
Of course.
That means they had to have had that phone longer than I did.
Way more.
And I put out my video within an hour of that phone landing on my doorstep. And it's
which, by the way, FedEx messed me up royally that day. Okay,
bad.
Of all the days, dude,
bad.
I was like sitting in the afternoon. Juan was like, "I got mine. I'm going to go pick up Lex," and I'm like, "You're doing so much. I didn't even get my box."
I know.
So yes, I'm totally.
So here's the trick. I did not opt to make a commentary on the unboxing. My first video for Pixel 6 is a very broad and general conversation about the state of competition in the Android ecosystem.
I
And
enjoyed that
all I
very much.
did
Yeah.
was slap like my video of taking it out of the box and just a couple like what I'm allowed to show, just like the front screen, the rear
I
of the
think
phone,
everybody
stuff like
knows what
that.
we're allowed to show, not to
Same
talk
thing,
about at this
for
point.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not any big evil secret. It's pretty easy to glean that. But the only reason why I was able to get that video out an
Hmm.
hour after getting the phone is because the entire core commentary was already pre-shot. I shot that the day before.
Oh
And so
yeah,
I
no.
knew that this was going to be the flavor, and I knew that some of those mega YouTube channels would already have had every opportunity to shoot the most beautiful B-roll to
Oh,
really
and not only
expand
that,
on the
they got two
unboxing,
phones. They got both the 6 and the
and they
6
got
Pro to
both
play with.
phones.
Yeah, we got the 6 Pro, which by the way I feel like it's the right choice. Don't get me wrong. That's the one I
Sure.
would have chosen.
But now playing with the 6 Pro, we're going to have some really frank conversations about who the 6 is for. So
So I'm
it's going to
actually
be good
almost tempted.
times.
I'm almost tempted to say I think I may want to pick one up just to check out, or even
I'm going to
and
try
not
to.
necessarily
I
like full
can't
price. I'm gonna do it
put
through
it
jump on demand with T-Mobile. No, no. So that's the
I
thing.
can't add it to my schedule right now,
Come on,
but
Juan. You could totally
after
do. You could do the review tomorrow for the Duo and just get it off the books.
I feel
Saturday, get ready with all your stuff for the Pixel 6 Pro. Have it recorded, ready for Monday, and then just work on the Pixel 6. Why can't you do this stuff, man? I'm really.
so here's my big philosophical gripe with
Yeah.
the people that are now trying to spread FUD about Google is they're already the ones who financially benefit the most from early access. They're the ones that have the coziest relationships with PR from Samsung and Apple. They
Hmm.
make the most money on their special privilege and their special rank, but it's easy to pick on anyone who's not Sam Apple.
And I
And
don't
that's the new
understand.
flavor. That's
Yeah,
the new
but
flavor. So when we saw like the S21 Ultra review from The Verge,
mhm.
in that review and they start talking about cameras, this is the new trick. We thought like at the beginning of the year, who's going to be the whipping boy now that LG's out of the game? And
Yeah.
the only correct answer is everyone who's not Samsung and Apple. Because now the trick is if you can ally Samsung fans and Apple fans on specific features, then you have the biggest audience in North America. You have Sam Apple users. So
Hmm.
when in a Galaxy S21 Ultra review, The Verge goes out of their way in a complete non sequitur to slam the Pixel, they are able to say Apple's using a larger camera sensor, Samsung's using a larger camera sensor, Google's just not good enough. So you get the Samsung owners and the Apple owners patting themselves on the back, and you'd have to worry about a tiny percentage of those Google nerds sitting around in the background. And this entire structure doesn't matter if it's OnePlus. OnePlus has never made better phones than they have today.
Oh, hands
OnePlus 9
down.
on,
Hands nine.
amazing. Sony
Absolutely.
has never made better phones than they have today. The Duo
Mark
2,
three. Yep.
phenomenal hardware. Absolutely phenomenal hardware. And I am shocked at how well polished. I was expecting more teething pains. Duo 2 rocking my socks. Xiaomi gets the sort
Oh,
of
oh my gosh.
outsider cred.
Xiaomi wins awards for like just for the sheer number of devices that they've released this year. So said that if there's nothing else to say, Xiaomi wins the award for, and I don't think the year is over, so let's not hold off for saying this is
For
the final
sure.
number. And then more than likely they will release the next version of the SoC from Qualcomm by the end of this year on December 28th. Mark my words, I'm making
But
predictions.
But when I see a YouTuber with a massive channel so proud of himself for finally taking a stand against these terrible embargoes, I'm not even going to review a Pixel at launch. And you're like, the only reason you would sit this out, the way that you're posturing, is because you literally have nothing else to bring to the table other than first. The only reason your commentary and your videos perform at all is because you got some kind of special early or exclusive access.
Hmm.
And when you don't get it and your commentary actually has to compete against a much broader collection of YouTubers and content creators and reviewers, and you can't rise to the occasion with a huge channel on YouTube, then you're a hack. Don't sit there and act like you're making some noble stand because you decided to sit out the Pixel. Show
What?
me those scruples and show me those morals the next
Mhm.
time Apple comes to you with the early access, or the next time Samsung comes to you for a sponsored video where you get to go hands-on early and make money from it and get all the advertising revenue on Google. Don't play this game with a Pixel, and don't try and conflate an embargo for the Pixel as some kind of scary deal breaker red flag. Show me those scruples when it really matters to your bottom line, because right now I'm calling BS. I think
I,
they're
it,
hacks.
I was very surprised to see that comment made, especially by this creator, because the statement that was made was just like, it's out of left field. Like, obviously you had the device ahead of time, you
Yeah.
had the time to you had enough time to talk to check it out, to test it out. Um, I don't. I did not understand why, because I didn't think he was part of Team Pixel. Like, I didn't think he was going to be the after embargo launch day, because Google set it up in a specific way, right? Team Pixel
Right.
didn't get their devices before because they've had relationships in the past that have been
Mhm.
spoiled. There's been some people that have caused enough concerns that Google now says Team Pixel gets it the day of or the day after, and everybody else, whatever the media that they chose to work with, they will be the top tier. But everybody else that was in that same team did put a video out. They had enough time to put their content
Yeah,
together,
for sure.
and like I said, it just took me back a little bit. I was very much surprised, and I know everybody knows who we're talking about. Um, so the approach
I,
was, I
I
think.
was kind of crouching that, and then I realized like I'm kind of going down a very specific rabbit hole
Oh no,
here.
I'm sure everybody knows exactly who we're talking about. There's no question about this conversation. But and I actually know this creator in person. I've met him quite a few times. But I am very surprised, especially of his presence,
But
especially
sure.
online. So,
But
anyways, yeah,
this tier of creators now all suddenly joining this bandwagon conversation of
which
we
is
profit
amazing.
immensely off of early and special access, but we're the most victimized by these terrible embargoes, the way that companies manipulate how reviewers work. And I'm tired of that. Yeah, if the game is is
Rigged.
so just degrading to your soul, and you just can't help but gnash teeth against this awful business practice. They have the channels large enough to change it. They have the channels large enough to walk away. You know who I don't hear playing this kind of BS game is Gamers Nexus. You know who I
Oh,
don't hear playing this kind of BS game is Hardware Unboxed.
yeah.
I mean, I've seen Hardware Unboxed over the last 2 years at the forefront of numerous PC component hardware scandals, and every single time watch them rise above, take the high road, make the correct decision, full disclosures for their audience as to what their business practices are,
Hmm.
and come out ahead of a commentary and a conversation that reinforces why I trust them
Hmm.
as a legit journalistic review organization. I don't see that in phones anymore.
No,
I don't. It's
it's a.
it's it's literally the people, like I'm preaching to the choir. And like Barry Johnson's in the chat, Alt Dad Tech is in the chat. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah, I
people
saw
that
it.
like
Yeah, yeah.
are grinding and hammering stuff out. Um, I'll hold up some of my other friends as people that I think do reasonable and consistent reviewing. But once we start getting to the top of tech YouTube, I'm not seeing that for mobile anymore. Mobile is now Samsung or Apple in North America, and everything else is lesser than, and nothing gets a solid recommendation because there's no money in trying to express to people why a different product has different pros and cons to offer.
And that's what kills me. That's why I always try to, like, when we look at a piece of tech, we really need to showcase the benefits of this hardware. Every device on the market, every device that a company spent years in development has merit, and it has features to be showcased. Um,
I'm telling
regardless
you,
of.
you like the draw of the Duo 2 might literally be me and Sam in this chat, but I want to know that this is the exact right fit gadget for Sam. Not, well, I mean, Sam could just have a good enough average consumer phone. he's
And
not
don't
going
get
to
me
be
wrong,
happy with that. I want
and
Sam to
Sam
have
has,
the
yeah,
phone that will like elate him every time he uses it. And it might, and Duo 2 might be that narrow of a
it might,
recommendation.
right
My
there,
Duo 2 review, the phone for Sam.
the phone for Sam.
But Sam, by himself, deserves the same kind of positive review for what the Duo does well as
Yep.
any other kind of broader or more mainstream phone.
Oh,
And same thing for
absolutely.
a Pixel
Yes.
6, same thing for whatever Sony might be talking about next week, same thing for a Xiaomi, same thing for a OnePlus. I don't care how a OnePlus might be deficient to a Samsung in one tiny category. I care that someone out there might value what a OnePlus brings to the table
Yeah.
more than what a Samsung might, and that's the right fit for them.
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing about that. What we need to focus on, it's not a, it's not a single two-lane highway, and there's only two cars that can fit there. There are a lot of
Yeah.
highways. There's a lot of lanes, guys. Just chill. And at the end of the day, I feel like so. Before we go too far, you did mention Sony next week. I'm super
Yeah.
excited to see what they're going to do. I don't think it's the Xperia 5 Mark III. I kind of already said that many,
So
many times.
yeah, that so I mean both of us together were saying like, hey, at some point they have to have an Xperia 5 Mark III event. I guess
Like,
they're not
I don't just,
gonna.
yeah,
I
this is
don't think
like,
it's gonna be that.
this is very like, okay, so everybody in the chat, I mean, as you usually like to do on the SQQA, Vegas odds of it being an Xperia 5, or is it really likely going to be another
Let's see.
Xperia?
What do you think Sony's going to announce at this next event? Do you think it's just going to be the Xperia 5 Mark III for North America, or do you think we're going to see something new? So everybody hit the chat. Let's see what some of your ideas are. Someone on Twitter hit me up and was like, "How cool would it be if Sony came back into tablets?" And
Oh
I
my
could
God,
jam
don't,
with a premium
dude,
Sony tablet.
an Xperia tablet again, like the high end, the glass back, oh my God, don't get me
Yo,
going with this. I miss
I
Sony
could rock with
tablets.
that
Dude,
so
oh,
bad.
they were right up there with Samsung with the high-end tablets for the longest
Hmm.
time, and then they stopped, and I was like, no. So yes, if they
Imagine
go
a
into,
Sony tablet that then becomes a color calibrated portable display for an alpha camera, HDMI input,
oh, dude, they would do that. They would do that.
LTE and 5G connectivity,
They
full control surfaces, everything that the Xperia Pro brings to the table, but like on a
on a
10-inch
tablet,
display.
on a 10 inch, on an actually like a big enough display to see from like a distance to, oh, like, dude, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna be like, okay, can we? Where do I put my wallet? Okay, right there. Okay, good. Yeah,
Or
I'm
just
buying
like
it now.
throw it,
Yeah, I was like,
angrily just chuck it
I,
at
I want to
Sony
throw it at the camera, but this is an expensive setup, so I will like, I will do the
with your
gesture.
Sony camera. You'll just
Yeah,
angrily
with the
gesture.
Sony camera, with the display, and all the amount of wires that I have in here is like ridiculous. But dude, if they do something like that, especially because it's Xperia and they jump into that bandwagon, like
Yeah.
we've seen them focus on alpha, we've seen them bring in alpha
Oh,
features to the One
not
Mark
even
III.
focus. At this point, I firmly believe the Alpha team is kind of in charge of
In
what's
charge
going
of
on at Xperia. And
it's
I
like,
couldn't be happier
we
because it
want to
is
make a
such a
camera, we
specific.
want to make a camera that looks like a phone, and it can also pick up
Well,
calls
no,
if you
but that's
want it.
just it. Is so I would have expected Sony to play around with more of the camera bits, but
Uh-huh.
Xperia Pro last year
It
rocked my
was,
socks for having a completely different pro conversation. It was a broadcast conversation.
oh,
And if
absolutely.
Sony is thinking that far outside the box, I mean, I just want an Xperia Pro in a tablet form factor.
I think that's the right. That's the missing. That's kind of like the missing link in the equation, if you think about it, because we have displays, we have the ability of basically using either the Xperia One Mark II or the Xperia One Mark III as displays on top of the Pro
Hmm.
because of Android, and so the features are there. I feel like the Pro did the right job, but you're right. We need a Pro tablet from them that kind of brings in the ecosystem and also benefits from all of the, like, I'm still waiting for Camera Pro, the new camera app on my Xperia One Mark
Hmm.
II. Like every time I get an update, there was a substantial one, and I'm like, is it? And then no, we're still gonna keep the regular app. We're gonna keep the Camera Pro separately. I love the Xperia One Mark III so much, and I love the new features in there. But I'm wondering, like, when does that show up on the One Mark II? But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you. Next week's going to be
So
exciting for me, at
Jeff, I
least.
just want to clear up for El Jefe. It's not probably you, dude. I wanted the Xperia badly. I was supposed to get a review sample, but I got ghosted. I'm still sad about that. So I have had significantly more positive experiences with Sony PR, but they're a much smaller representation of Sony here in North America.
Hmm.
I have to do the full disclosure that I have been hired by Sony to do hosting and presentation content
Oh, as have I. I'm
for
sorry, in the
events.
past. Yeah.
So
Earlier
again,
this year.
I have a very close relationship with Sony PR, and I have actually worked for Sony PR in a professional capacity. Um,
Ditto.
this whole year, and again, I kind of feel this is partly a commentary on component shortages and also partly a commentary on Sony selling way higher than expected in China.
I was gonna say it's. I think it's a big refocusing on their market. They're
I
realizing
don't
that
know
they're.
that anyone's really landed an Xperia 1 long term review unit this year. I got early access hands on with a
Same.
prototype.
Yeah.
You went, so I mean, you went pre release also. And then we've
Both
had
both of
some
the
follow
times I
up.
had a chance to play with it were pre-release units. It was
Yeah.
pre-release hardware. Yeah.
And so,
Which is typical, by the
like
way.
for
We
both
never
of
get
us,
production always. Yeah, we always get on early if we do, if there is any.
but for Xperia 1 Mark II, eventually they did source some retail boxes for us to finish
Oh,
commentary on
yeah, yeah.
a consumer facing product. I don't think Sony PR has. So I had these plans to buy an Xperia 1 Mark III. I spoke with their PR. They
My
put me
Xperia
in
One Mark II
line.
is right there. My
Mine's
baby,
on the
my
shelf. It's right over there.
my baby with the broken case is still right there.
Yeah, my
Sorry.
case snap too. So, but the Sony PR reached out, said, "Hey, we're really looking to try and get you a follow up, a retail boxed unit. They can't keep them in stock.
Yeah.
Every single, literally down to the individual unit, every phone they make is spoken for. There is no device sitting on
Would you say
shelves.
they're bespoken for? I'm sorry. The moment you said that, I've been waiting to find a way to put in the word
No,
bespoken.
nailed it.
Yeah, I was like,
Brought it all the way back around.
thank
That
you, people. I'll be
that was
back
the
next
right way
week.
to do it.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So I'm not saying that you were taking it personally, but I just kind of wanted to illustrate, especially for El Jefe, who does such a good job with headphone reviews.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
Xperia is a phone that I would want to get in his hands. I don't think any reviewers have legit gotten
No,
a retail
after
box
the
unit.
if I understand them correctly, I think the prototypes go back. They're not
Oh,
converted.
they have to.
So
Yeah,
yeah, they it's a weird relationship. Like even if there ever is a problem with a unit that we're doing, like I've had it in the past, where I've had problems with units where they overheating or something. Typically they swap. They never. It's never a let me just send. We'll send the software. No, they actually send it back to the engineer. So
right.
I think the long story short that I think we're trying to say is realistically there is a massive shortage. There's also, which is a
Yeah.
good thing in a certain way, a massive
No, it's
demand on the One Mark III,
this is the
which as it
best
should be,
possible
as it
situation for Sony to be in because at this
absolutely.
point, anyone who the Xperia 1 Mark III is basically review proof.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what reviewers say about it. Sony cannot keep them in stock. Their forecasts are all wrong. Their manufacturing windows are all incorrect because it is selling way faster
It's
than they can
modeled
keep the phone
over
on
it's
sales.
this is the course correction year for them if they keep doing what they're doing, and but my hope is that they see this as the sign of the what they're doing is working, and that they don't decide to change the recipe next year when we start looking at the Xperia One
Oh, for
Mark
sure.
IV. So this is
Did you talk to Sony about the Xperia Pro now that it's almost a year old?
I have honestly
Okay,
till you had it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
air a little Sony PR behind the scenes.
Okay.
Um, Xperia Pro has
Hmm.
exceeded their sales forecasts.
What?
Yeah. So
That is
they did not
okay.
assume that they were going to sell a lot.
Well,
One
because
of the
the
reasons
yeah
why
yeah
the phone
I
is
was
so
gonna say 20.
expensive,
Yeah, it was
$2,500 phone.
like
But one
yeah.
of the reasons why that phone is so expensive is also because it was going to be such a limited batch, such a limited
Mhm.
run of those devices. They're being snatched up by TV broadcast. They're being snatched up by universities
Oh yeah.
that are looking at ways to augment location broadcast, film, and journalism.
Hmm.
And there has actually been, I mean, based on the numbers that they weren't really telling me, kind of a surprisingly high number of people, again, in sort of the Asian Pacific area, that have been picking it up as high status symbols. So you really want to
Oh,
flex. You can't flex with an iPhone like you can a $2,500
$500 phone.
Xperia.
It's a
So
pro.
all
Yeah.
of those three forces working together, they've been having difficulty keeping pros in stock because of, they
Nice.
again they assumed they windowed for a much smaller batch of production on that. And so when I got the Xperia Pro back, it was the same prototype unit that you and me
From
both
early,
got to
we
play
play.
with
We
from
it's
last year.
probably the same. No, no, early this year.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry.
Remember? No, no,
The
no.
beginning of this
Remember,
year
the Pro was announced in beginning of last year, but didn't come up till this year.
till
Beginning
this year.
this year. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the little cover for the HDMI port, totally gone. This phone has been so traveled.
It
This phone has been in so many different people's hands.
it has made some friends across the way. Yeah.
It's insane. So again, I mean, like anyone who's sitting there and like chuckling to themselves, like who's buying Sonys anymore? Oh my gosh, I'm so funny. You're completely missing one of the sleeper success stories of
Yeah.
2021. And it's
I
something we should be critically excited about because none of these top end Sonys are built to be broad consumer facing products. They're
no.
all
I think if they're
expensive,
yeah.
premium, and hyper niche, but it's working so well for the audiences that are interested in either the raw performance capabilities or legit just the fashion flex of
Yeah.
rocking something totally unique.
Sorry, I wanted to highlight this comment. The stories that that phone will tell. I was like, absolutely. Uh,
No, and immediately you got to follow it up with Gary's comment.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then of course you got in
Because
there, put it in
I
ultraviolet
really should have. I really should have.
decontamination chamber.
Because, oh man,
Uh,
whoo, baby, that phone got around.
oh my God, it is.
That's
It
a
is.
round the way phone.
But the fact of the matter though is when you were doing your show, I was happy that they were able to get you that same setup because
Yeah.
really the Pro is what extenuates. Don't get me wrong, the One Mark III is a beast of a phone, and you can to a certain point get a certain part of those experiences, with the
Yeah.
exception of the millimeter wave because we don't have that. That's purely for the Pro. But I feel like when you want to marry the A7S III with a device, I feel like the Pro is the right one. Connection,
Yeah.
HDMI in, broadcast, level of experience, everything is just the right level. Plus, you get the 512 gigs of internal storage, which I feel like is the right for data transfer. Whenever you're wanting to upload content, you want to basically store it on the phone.
I mean, on
That's
my Xperia 1 Mark II, it's just so spacious having 256 and a memory card slot.
and a memory card, I'm like,
Going
uh,
512
and a memory card.
and a memory card
I
slot
was like, what else? Yeah, no.
and USB 3 data transfer off of the USB-C port.
See, take those and slap them into a tablet and get us that on Monday. That's what I
I
want to
want an
see.
Xperia Pro
I
tablet
want
so
I
bad
want to get
now.
an Xperia Pro tablet or an Xperia Tablet Pro, whatever you want to call it, Sony. Just pro that together. Um,
Pro
so I,
tab.
well, I mean, so they've been knocking it out of the park. They're releasing new
Yeah, they
lenses,
really have.
new cameras. Like I said, I'm very much focusing. I'm hoping at some point, if I can justify it, I may end up picking up an A7 IV just to replace my A7 III because that fixes my entire trifecta of systems. Everything is versatile, and I can shoot 4K 60 across the board, which would
Yeah.
solve most of my problem because I've gone 4K on YouTube now since I got the A10, and I've been so happy just to kind of be
So, I
consistent.
mean, we got a couple like Greg saying I wouldn't even take a $2,500 phone outside, and Aditya saying, "Stop! I want an Xperia Pro now." I don't think most people do. I really don't think most people should want an Xperia Pro
No, no, no.
unless you have designs on hooking an Xperia Pro up to a broadcast or a cinema grade camera, and you're really thinking you're going to not just live
Use
stream
it.
but like
Yeah, yeah.
broadcast,
Broadcast and actually make money off of it. You have to make this.
and you're going to work
This is a
that.
production tool. Yeah, it's a pro. It needs to be that.
I really feel like Xperia 5 nails the premium consumer experience. Xperia 1 is just something a little shishier. It's a little frou-frouier.
I
It's a little,
love 4K 120, man. That's
it's
okay.
great.
It's the one thing I'm missing on the One Mark II. I want 4K 120, and I'm happy.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. I love the cameras on the three,
Right, but
but
what
I
I'm saying is
want
like take a OnePlus 9, which just
yeah,
recently got a huge price cut because of all the
yeah,
Pixel news. Like that's exciting.
which makes
Pixel
sense.
6, 599.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're going to put Pixel 6 up against I think Pixel 6 deserves to go up against a phone like the Xperia 5. The
I
Xperia
think,
5 is going to
yeah,
be $1,000 phone.
yeah, and I
It's
think
going to
that's
be
the
nine
right.
ninety nine.
It's a similar experience, even though the Xperia 5 runs at 120 hertz with the 888. I feel like it is like if you go, Pixel 6 to the 5 and Pixel 6 Pro to the
But I just mean in terms of tier. OnePlus 9,
mhm,
Xperia 5, Pixel 6,
6 exactly.
Xiaomi. I mean, I'd
Mi
probably say
11.
Xiaomi Mi 11, not Mi 11i. I think the I is a step too low.
No, I would go with the
Just the
11 or
straightforward Mi
even
11.
11T because they just released the
Okay,
11T.
Mi
So
11T.
I would probably say the
So
11T. Yeah.
putting this into perspective, and I feel it's fair. Let's talk about prices. That
Yeah.
Xperia 5 is going to be $300 at least,
Hmm.
$400 more expensive than the Pixel 6.
Oh yeah.
400. It's going to be $400 more expensive than the Pixel 6.
Then the entry level 599. Yeah.
Sony's conversation is going to be very specific and quite a bit different than that Pixel 6.
Yeah.
But that Xperia 5 Mark III achieves what I think the nicest version of a mainstream Sony should resemble. The
Hmm.
Xperia 1 takes us up into some bleeding edge overkill niceness.
Yeah.
It's like going from a really tricked out Camry to a really tricked out Lexus. Do you
Absolutely.
need the really tricked out Lexus? No, because they both get you to the grocery store in kind of the same way. But if you want the plush and you want the fancy and you want the sprucing and you want the nicer accessories package, Xperia 1, and there you go.
Yeah.
Xperia Pro is not any of that. It's a diesel truck for television broadcast. It is not a phone that people should want unless they need. If you
Yeah.
need it, you're going to flip on that phone. If you don't need it, you're going to be like, I spent $2,500 on this phone. And it's basically an Xperia 1 Mark II with an HDMI port. Oh my gosh.
Or spend $2,500 and all you end up doing is just checking Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and then responding to email.
Average consumers all dropping $2,500 on their phones.
Because that's what the average consumer would do. They would definitely go out and buy a $2,500 phone.
Yeah, so the Xperia Pro is the phone that kind of lives in the flight case or in the locker that goes with your broadcast camera and your nice wireless labs.
I
And
like
you
this.
hook it up and you do a satellite link and you've got, a 5G data connection so that you can
Yeah.
do a remote broadcast from a stadium in the middle of like a playoff game. I mean, like that's where the Xperia Pro fits in. And so I really need to like no one should feel
Bad that
like
yeah.
they're missing out by not getting the Pro.
I think it's a good thing that Sony's starting to see an uptick in interest in their devices. I think that's the goal here is the fact that they're getting the positive reinforcement that they should be getting, telling them, look, what you're doing is working and what you're doing needs to continue. Because this is something that they've shown us. This is the third iteration of an Xperia 1 and a third iteration of an Xperia 5. So whatever they end up releasing on Monday, I feel like we're definitely going to be I'm sure we're going to be surprised. There's no question because we don't know specifically.
Don't know
But
what it's
no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would reach for the stars and say I'd love an Xperia Pro 2. I would love an Xperia Pro tablet. I would love an Xperia Ultra, or even an updated Xperia 5 launch event or something to the effect of that. Whatever we know is it is an Xperia, so it is mobile, so it's something nice. And I don't want to say here that we saw some people who were saying like if they said if the Xperia 5 is the Camry, the Xperia 1 is the Avalon, and I haven't heard the word Avalon for such a while.
I know.
At one point, I wanted to buy an Avalon, but what? At the end of the day, when I really look at it with Sony and what they're doing and what they're bringing into the conversation, I hope LFA does get a chance to play around with the One Mark III to check out the headphone jack and the audio capability, especially with the speakers, because the audio on these things are not just your average device. Sony brings a different experience to mobile devices. As you said, it's an alpha device through and through. There's no question. Alpha lives through Sony Xperia. And that's why I'm excited. So I'm hoping for that type of conversation on Monday.
And especially I'd love to see Jeff's take on stuff like the haptic motor.
Yeah.
Because
It
it got a lot better on the Xperia 1 Mark III. I mean, it's usable. It kind of contributes on the 1 Mark II, but the precision of the motor got way higher, and the 1 Mark III is.
I miss the One Mark III. Let's just say that I miss it quite a bit. But at some point, I'm going to see how things kind of pan out. We'll see what they release on Monday or they announce on Monday. I'm not going to say release. Sony's going to be announcing, and whatever they're announcing is probably going to be
Not so.
months.
Whatever
Yeah,
Sony announces might
it'll
not
be
show up till
January.
Christmas.
I was gonna, if any. Come on. Remember the Xperia
Or
5 launch event
they'll announce and they'll immediately be sold out in China, and then we'll get it in January of next year here in North America.
with all the
I,
videos,
I
all
could
the
play.
coverage done, analysis done, submitted, everything on there. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was excited to see the phone, and I was very tempted to try to import it at the time, but it is definitely, yeah. Oh, there. Avalon is still around. They still
Oh, I
make.
didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Is it?
Okay.
That's
Yeah, no.
cool.
Gabriela's saying is like, you got to check out the
Good
new
job,
Avalon
Toyota.
TRD. I knew that the Avalon was a version. So like you get the Camry, the Avalon, but it was a class that I thought they stopped making a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, also, I've got to look it up now because an Avalon TRD sounds incorrect. Like, the Avalon is the
So,
big, comfy, lazy boy sofa car for old people to drive something nicer. And TRD,
oh crap, he's right.
hmm,
No, I'm not. Sorry, Gabriela. I'm not commenting on you personally. I'm saying is I didn't realize I was out of the loop that far. So it does exist.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
could we blame you? You're all hyped up on your Tesla now, so you're a Tesla guy.
dude, I don't miss the gas station. Let's just say that I do not miss the gas station. I
Fair.
pass by the gas station in California, and every time I see it, I'm
Very
like,
fair.
oh my god,
I
I'm
pass by the
just.
gas station and then my car runs out of gas, and I'm like, dang.
No, so here, Greg hit me up on Instagram during the week or something like that, and he sent me a tweet or a message. There's a town in California. It happens to have basically one gas station. This gas station has $8 a gallon price tag. $8. And I was
Okay.
like,
It's getting real, folks.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I realize California, we have taxes and stuff, but that's a bit much. That's like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's a
ride my
lot
bike.
of bit much.
I'll be riding my bike from now on, and it'll be human power. Yeah,
I've been getting
Flintstone
some of those
style.
PR. I keep trying to work with companies on doing like e-scooters and e-bikes, and they
Hmm.
keep falling through. I've gotten four requests for e-bikes this
Hmm.
year, and like I want to talk about these so bad because this neighborhood that I'm in now
Hmm.
is perfect. I'm just a little too far to walk to a grocery store and bring stuff home, especially if I need to bring home anything frozen. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's not it. And it kills me whenever I have to get in my car. And so
Just to
one of these
go
like e-bikes would be the perfect and I want that idea to spread a bit wider,
yeah,
like
the
you
last
know, I,
mile type of an experience. They usually call them that.
exactly.
Yeah, the last mile. But in reality, it is. If you're a couple miles away or something like that, why take the car?
Yeah.
Charge it up and drive it. I mean, they have most of these things have like 18 to 20 mile range.
Yeah,
It's like crazy distance, man. Seriously, like
for sure.
it's. I've
And
been
you get
looking
like
into
the cute
those.
little like rack in the back and you can put a couple bags of groceries on there.
I reviewed one a
It's
while
so
back.
70s style.
It's
I
been a
love
few
it.
years ago. It looked like a little motorcycle with with
Yes.
a little bin in the
Right?
back and stuff like that. And then it does fold up when you get to the store. Um, Ever since I saw you and Trish do the Xiaomi one in back at Newegg Labs, remember that one on the roof? So I've been wanting to
So
get one of
good.
those, and every time I keep thinking, because for me, what I really would love is to augment that type of an experience with just again, once you go electric and you start realizing the difference in what you're trying to use for source. Like I wake up in the morning and the car is charged, it's ready to go. There's a lot of things that you start realizing, like I'm starting to think solar. I really want to start like
Yeah.
the amount of electricity money that I've spent this summer with the heat that we got. It's crazy. It's crazy how prices are going up. And I realize, oh, Ronaldo's in the chat. Hey, man, hope you're doing well.
Rolando.
I know I'm like training it into the what should you do for your home kind of an experience. No, not that kind of show today. Um,
So
it
Gabalette
makes you
is
think.
joking like I should get a Vespa, but when I was in high school, I helped
I
a buddy
I
rebuild
rocked a Vespa when I was a kid.
a
Let's just say that.
Vespa.
Yeah,
I still want one of those so bad. I mean, it was so much fun to work on too. It's just this little banger gas engine and like
tiniest of components. Yes, no,
so good.
it's absolutely it's absolute fun. It's a lot of fun, and it obviously has a lot of horsepower too. It's not freeway safe, but it definitely on the surface street, 35, 45 miles, absolutely easy.
Sure.
So for an in-town type of an experience, I felt like yeah, Vespas. They're still around, by the way. In our old neck of the woods, off of down the street from Balboa Park, there's a bike shop right on, I think I would say, one of Woodman and Sherman Way, that
Okay.
they're still in business. So I've always, I remembered it because I was looking at them all the time. But yeah,
I know what you're talking. I can see their sign.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I know what you mean. I
And
know that
they've been
shop.
there for years. Yeah, it's
Yeah, they
hard to miss.
have.
If you know that area, you know exactly. It's right by the airport,
For
the Van Nuys
sure.
Airport. So our old stomping
That's
grounds.
crazy.
I used to live down the street from there, by the way. That was like my first place when I first came. It was like right down the street from there because I used to pass by it, and I used to go to the Toys R Us that no longer exists. That was also at that same corner.
Yeah.
So a lot of memories of things that
Some
don't
good
exist.
memories there.
So I want to say Balboa Park. TK lives in Philly. No, there's a lot of Balboa parks in California and across the country. Actually, in Southern California, we have two. There's
Well,
the
I think
Balboa
he's
Park.
also saying Rocky Balboa. So
Oh, the other Balboa. Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah. Okay, okay. The
Philadelphia.
other, the other Balboa. Yeah. Well, I was going to say in California we have two Balboa parks. One here in LA, and there's one in San Diego. So I always found it interesting that when you go to San Diego, you see Balboa Park. But I didn't get a chance to get that initial impressions kind of like feeling from you. I saw the excitement on your live stream. I saw everything
Mhm.
going on through the updates and getting things going on and so on. Now that you've spent another 10 minutes more with it, or a few hours more, are you is it still in that moment where you're getting everything you see is like yes, 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 yes type of an experience? Uh, and are you still discovering new things, new tricks, maybe potentially coming in? I saw you posting a picture from it, which actually looked pretty
Yeah.
good. Uh,
I've
so
got some photo samples. I might be able to get them screen shared here. You guys give me
really,
just a
does the
second.
Duo 2 screen share? I didn't realize that. Yeah.
No, I mean
Yeah.
I had them transferred over to my desktop. Give
Oh,
me
I
one
was gonna.
second.
Well, it would have been totally cool though if you wanted to put up the Duo 2.
Right? All right, let
Okay,
me
let me
do
see
this.
here.
And
And I know you're gonna be like, not you, TK. I know, I know. It defaults by default. It jumps right away to the person that hosts. Since I'm the host
so
on this,
I've seen a few people saying that the cameras just aren't good enough for the
aren't good enough
monies,
for the monies. Oh my god, this is crap.
and
It's
I
beautiful
feel
crap,
like
but it looks amazing. No, yeah.
yeah, I mean this is just I mean I just threw up in my mouth again.
Oh my god,
Um,
how do you do these things, man?
well,
Look at
also the
that.
formatting here is going to be a little wonky. Let me see if I can. That should help.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's a
rest of the
little bit
picture
better.
that would help. I like that. The rest of the picture always nice. Look at that.
So,
Yeah, skyline's really good. The HDR processing is good. Look at the grain right there. Nice.
so here's a pretty good example of when the HDR does kick in. I feel like it's got that kind of auto HDR that I don't like from Samsung.
It. Yep.
But I mean, considering I'm pointing my face into the sun and the sweatiness on my forehead is not completely blown out, like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't suck.
No, no.
Like that's pretty
The
good.
improvement. Well, I mean, let's say this compared to what we had last year. Obviously, this is a massive improvement, but it's still, from a performance standpoint, though, it's actually pretty good.
I mean, all
I'm
of these
actually.
are perfectly functional. This is not gonna be phone of the year. I mean, camera of the year. Like
Camera, I was gonna
that's
say. Yeah,
stupid obvious. Anyone who needs to spell that out is probably really bad at also tying their shoes. But I
yeah,
feel like I see a photo like that. That's gonna do fine on my social media. That's gonna do great.
yeah.
I
No.
did try a portrait shot. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. So here is just like a regular rear camera selfie. So I'm shooting this from the back. You
Mm-hmm.
can kind of see like just that little bit of fuzz kind of on the edges of my ear. And
Mm-hmm.
then here is the portrait mode shot. And I mean, considering again, this isn't the bestest camera ever, it
It's
is
actually not bad at
tracking
all. Yeah,
the
it's
edges of my ear, and then the kicker is always on the
the
edges of
edges
my
of the
cap.
cat. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it gets a little too soft on the left side of my cap.
It's also because of the colors. So you notice that on the left
Yeah.
side, your distinction between your color, the cap,
Well,
and the background is closer. Yeah, same thing with the glasses.
it totally didn't land my sunglasses. You're exactly right. So what it's doing is it's seeing the building behind me, and you
Yeah,
can see where it's blurring the edge of the
the
lens
lens,
of
which
my
is a
sunglasses.
yeah, you could
Yeah,
see the contrast. It's driven by the contrast of different. If you were standing to maybe more of a brighter background, something that
sure.
was very clean, I could see it doing a much better job, especially on the glass and the cap. And
But I
But you know
mean,
what?
I'm
It's still pretty
talking.
decent.
We're,
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
like it.
about a Surface, and this is easily the best camera that's ever been on a Surface. So
I
I feel like
I would
we're
have
well
to.
covered.
I would agree. The Duo Dos is definitely very nice. Old Old Gura,
Oh, old Agora.
Old Agura. Sorry, I was like, this sounded like an old, like a different
So
show.
sorry. This is the ultra wide, and
Oh,
then
that
this
one.
is the
Okay.
maximum zoom from the same spot. And that's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
that's not terrible.
No, no, it's legible. It's really good.
Not
Actually, you know what? Sorry, I think about it. I know it sounds we're making it sound like we're impressed with the fact that it actually can take pictures, like as if it's not supposed to. Like the camera sensor was just put there for show. The fact that the processing is good, that's the evolution that you want it to get. This actually looks honestly like an Instagram picture. The color, the
okay.
saturation, this feels Samsung almost to a certain point. I don't know
I
why.
will say that some of their processing and especially their exposure is a little finicky. So I mean, you can kind of
Yeah.
see like we're getting a little too hyper bright.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a
Yeah.
couple versions of this photo where
It
it's blowing out the highlights really bad.
especially with
So
reds, right? You're getting that
oh,
with the red
especially with
colors.
reds, and
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
on this size camera sensor. But like that's pretty good for maintaining petal detail on a red flower. I don't have any complaints with that. That's above average for this
Definitely not a
camera
red
sensor
flag. I'm
size.
totally with you. Yeah, totally not a red flag.
Get it? Get it? Because
I'm gonna because it's a
because
I'm
that
gonna
that's the
it's
other
gonna
thing
be
that bothers me is like we get to this like dual stage embargo on the Pixel and you're like, "Oh god, how could we trust Google? They must be trying to hide something." But then look at the videos that are coming out from the folks who had early access on the Duo.
yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, you didn't really I spent a whole week using the Duo with pre-release unfinished software and it's just not good enough. Can the Duo possibly be saved in the state that no one will use it in? Here's my full review after a couple days of
What I
using it."
what I don't understand is when you get a company that reaches out and says, "Look, we're going to give you a phone, we're going to give you a hardware that is pre-production. It has pre-production software.
Yeah.
Not everything is working right, but we'd like you to put a review out on it." And I don't feel like that's a fair statement. I think most of these
I don't think any PR is.
no, but
I
I'm
don't think
not so
Microsoft PR is going out to these creators and saying what we want you to do is put
is a
out a
full.
full review
I think yeah.
on
I
this
feel like
product before the product is finished.
I feel
But
like
that's what
the
they're doing because there's no
yeah.
money in doing a proper follow up.
A follow up, which is I think what the biggest thing is like, do they want to invest the time in in the time
Oh,
slot
they
for a separate
can't.
video?
TK, don't you understand when you have a major YouTube channel and you're bringing in that much ad revenue, and you're hiring a team of people to work on your content, you can't have videos miss. You
Yeah,
always have to make the mostest popularist videos so that you can make the most money, or else your entire team will starve. I mean, you're responsible for making sure you can pay and feed your team, so
you
there's
have
no
to
way
pay the
you could
bills.
ever do consistent coverage on other devices. You
No,
can
I
only do practical coverage on things that you know will already be popular.
will have the high SEO. Will you know that there? It's easy to basically post it whenever you're in the like, a little bit of a lull. Um, I think what I like the reason I say this is like I feel like to be truthful to what you're doing. Some will mention that they're running pre-production hardware and software, but not all do. But what gets me is that I think at the day of launch, whatever the embargo is, I think you really should
You
just
know
come
there's
out
going to
with
be an update.
absolutely. That's the absolute. And so this is a little bit on both sides, right? Because Mike, why would Microsoft push the update the day of launch? Like, why not push it a couple of days before? Let them get the software update, get the feel of what the changes are. But for that conversation, I feel like your first video should not be a full review, and don't feel competitive to basically if it's not a full review, nobody's going to watch it kind of an experience. At the end of the day, do right by the consumer, the people that are going to actually go put out their money for this device. For
Well,
them,
but
there's
that's just it. Is I feel like these channels have already kind of drawn their line in the sand.
yeah,
I feel like the channel that is going to take pre-release hardware and software and finish. I mean, they come to a conclusion at the end of their videos as to whether or not you should buy this product based on this early access. I think they've already made a philosophical choice that it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they piss off,
A
a
few, a
tiny
few
fraction, a
of
percentage of
yeah.
Android users that might consider the Duo. It doesn't matter if they tank the 4% of the Android ecosystem in North America that uses OnePlus. It never mattered that they would pee all over LG, even when LG was climbing up to like 15% market share in the
Hmm.
United States. It never mattered. What mattered was Apple was roughly in the high 40s in terms of overall smartphone market share, and Samsung was in the 30s.
Hmm.
So between those two companies, you had almost 80% of the North American market locked up. The other 20% can go take a hike. You will make more money making sure Apple and Samsung fans are happy.
Yeah, I think it's lip service to a certain point, but yes, no, I know what you mean. I see it, and you know
But
what?
I mean, it's just a continuing trend because we get to the end of every single video and no product is good enough. No product is
There's always,
competitive.
yeah, it's always
No
something
product
like.
can be worth it. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can really use all these different devices and put them up to the same rigorous standards of comparison and walk away from them and say, nope. It's a miracle of pure meritocracy that Apple and Samsung always seem to eke out victories. I mean, they must have magical engineering departments that always make perfect
Actually,
because no other
I've
company
seen Apple's and
ever.
magical system. Yeah, they do have magic. Actually, it's fairy dust inside of every single iPhone
That magic
12, and 13.
applesauce.
Yes,
Pork
exactly.
chops and applesauce.
It you know, I think what's happening, what's changing this year though, is that I think, like I said, Google finally is coming to play, and they're gunning for things. They're not just putting out pretty pictures. They're seriously putting money behind their budget of PR representation. The fact of the number of people, the way the Team Pixel has grown in the years that you and I have been part of it, which, by the way, thank you again for allowing us to be there. But the biggest thing that I would probably say is Pixel has gone through many evolutions. We've seen Nexus come and go. We've seen Pixel evolve. The Pixel 3, 3 XL, the 4 built on it. 5, it was a little bit of a lull year. Again, I think they were trying to shoot more for pricing, and I think they did a great job for that. But it did not outperform the Pixel 4 XL. Like to this day, I feel like the Pixel 4 XL for me was the best. I would say the most powerful Pixel to date. Tensor is interesting in the approach that they're trying to come with, and of course with the Titan M2 and with all of the improvements that they're putting in
Sure.
there. I think Pixel 6 Pro is the one to set the bar, and I feel like it's going to set the bar high. I haven't had enough time to give all of the benefits of it, but I say
I,
this much.
I'm under a very specific embargo, but let's just
Oh,
be honest. I have not had enough time
I haven't.
to
Yeah,
to
there
tell
is,
you about this stuff.
because I'm getting a lot of questions too. Like, can you tell me, does it? The reality, I'll say this. I spent
Keep the
quite a bit of
questions coming
time.
because every
Yeah,
time I
yeah.
get one of those questions,
It
it
goes
sparks
into the
like,
vid.
oh, I do need to go and test that. Thank you for
Yeah,
reminding me. But I'm
absolutely.
I'm literally like scrambling. I am running as fast as I can.
This is such a short amount of time for a
Yeah.
device, for videos on this type of a hardware. What I wanted to say before was I got a chance to spend time with the GN1 sensor on the Xiaomi Mi 11, Mi 11 Ultra, and on that device with Xiaomi, I was very impressed with what they were able to do on that sensor with that sensor. But that's not the entire story that we get with the Pixel 6 Pro, because you have to also keep in mind the 48 megapixel ultra wide that they put in there. They're not just focusing on the fact that they give you a really good sensor. They need to also build up the experience. So that takes time. You have to. It's kind of like how Juan says, you have to live with the phone. You have to take enough pictures, good, bad pictures, every picture that you can in different aspects and different formats to truly understand what the capabilities of the camera and the system is can. So
Mhm.
this is why we're not answering. Um,
It's because
and
I have to say, with all humility, I don't effing know yet.
yeah, and I think most everybody's in the same boat.
So
and
last
everybody's
night
going to be
I did
going.
some of my night shots with the Pixel 6, and I can't share them with you. You'll just have to assume that they're
Their night shots.
Pixel night shots.
I was gonna say we're
Um,
gonna assume they're night shots. Yeah.
so it to do sort of the new loop where I don't have like easy access to city landscapes like I used to before. It's 4 miles of walking. And it
Oh
took me
wow.
4 miles of walking around to different areas around my neighborhood to try and come up with new consistent scenes that I can
Oh yeah, yeah,
capture
yeah.
over time. And I would say it probably took me 2 miles into that walk before I think I had a good feel on what sensor with what setting will deliver what kind of output.
Yeah, learning how the
To let
cameras
you
work.
know, by the time I had gotten to that point, that was 10 gigs of photos. I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to
Yeah,
toot my own horn.
yeah.
I think
And
I
I don't. I
do.
think they sent you the wrong size phone. You needed the 256
I know,
gig
I
model.
really do.
I was
I'm
like, you have the
clearing
wrong
stuff
one.
out too. Like, I just need these samples, but I don't need all these mess ups that I had earlier in the
Yeah,
evening.
like
So let's
yeet
just get rid
highlight
of
super.
that.
No, 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 I'm
Just
with you.
yeet those out of the way. So it's not to say, like, oh, well, this is so hard to get. I mean, this was way easier to get acclimated to than using a Vivo.
I think a
But
Vivo. Yeah.
it's
I,
still like the whole idea is if someone is going to hold up like two sample HDR photos from a Pixel, BS, they know what they're talking about. They don't. They do not know what it was like to live with that camera, try and capture a child in movement, try and get a busy street scene, try and nail the perfect landscape, roll around in the dirt. I had to pick leaves out of the hinge of my Duo to get that snail shell shot. And the first day, I'm already like almost
oh my
messing up my
god.
Duo by getting gunk in the hinge. You
Roughing the
can't
duo. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't know though. You can't know until you say like, "Hey, my Zen hobby is macro photography. I my knees are covered in grime right now from walking one lap around the block with my Duo 2 just to start getting a feel for this camera."
Yep.
And like I'm not proficient at it yet. That doesn't mean I'm somehow a less good photographer. It doesn't mean the Duo is inferior. It means I am unfamiliar
Yeah.
with this hardware. So when I see someone like, I took like 5 whole samples and I put them side by side in iPhone and it's just not good enough. Yeah, you set your samples because you knew and you were comfortable with the iPhone. And then you just had the other phone just kind of sitting side by side. You didn't really frame and feel for what was going to be a good shot from the other phone. You
Yeah.
just lazily stuck them next to each other.
It
So
it it,
it's all fake. That's all a lie. When someone tries to talk about cameras with any kind of authority, but that's the kind of sample they're going to serve.
no, I'm with you. No, I get it. I'm not gonna say the answer is specific. Obviously, to live with something is to truly understand it.
Sure.
And if you haven't lived with it, truly lived with it, meaning your primary phone is still the device that you're comparing it to, and you're just using this on the side to be able to kind of just do that comparison, I get it. I got the analogy there, and I think first I'll say this: I'm looking forward to seeing what your thoughts are on the Duo 2 with the full story kind of when it builds up, because I feel like that's how it needed to be with the Vivo V70 Pro Plus. You needed to have time with it. You needed to be able to put it out. The audio deep dive is definitely something a lot of people love, and you
Yeah.
know the one
And you
thing
can
that I
see
would
every ounce of just how exhausted I am in that
I
video. And like,
I,
hey guys, relaxed fit video. Oh man, let's talk about these speakers.
uh, one of those experiences.
So I just want to address two quick comments here. We got from Greg.
Yeah,
10 gigabytes of photos. I should say, when it comes to shooting on a Pixel, just like we were shooting on the Pixel 5, the Pixel 4, one of the nice things that does help streamline my photo samples is there is no Pro mode, but you can automatically capture a RAW file
yeah.
even when
I
you're
think
shooting in auto.
yeah,
So
and
it's
we've had that
very
for some
easy
time. Yeah,
when you shoot like I do and you're constantly like kind of chimping your results and you're trying to set up these shots and you're trying to match certain kinds of scenes, when you're capturing a processed JPEG and a RAW for every photo you shoot, getting to 10 gig in one night is a lot easier than you might think it would be.
Yeah.
But that is, it's like a couple steps here and I'm taking a photo of this car, and a couple steps here and I'm taking a photo of this street lamp because I want to see what it does to the lens. And then a couple steps
Hmm.
here, and now I've got like a string of lights and I want to see what that does to bloom and to fringing and to white balance. But then if I come over here, I need to take a different kind of white balance sample because the street lamps go from blue to amber. And
Hmm.
that to me would be kind of analogous of going to like a concert and seeing different photography there. So it's easier than you think it would be, but it's that kind of step by step, photo by photo. The only way you can build enough experience fast enough to know
Hmm.
what you're talking about in terms of predicting performance. The other one I want to say is chop. So based on what you're saying about picking and choosing shots, does it mean it's a red flag for point and click consumers? So I'm not going to speak it to the Pixel 6 Pro. Instead, I'm going to refer you to my Vivo camera conclusion.
Yeah.
So if you go see my on my channel, there is a video wrapping up
I
the
think it was that last Friday's video. Yeah.
yeah, last Friday's video. It was the
Hmm.
X70 Pro Plus. Um, I feel the conversation around point and shoot consumers is grossly overrepresented. If you give your average consumer a Galaxy S7, they are going to have a phenomenal camera in their pocket for quick, snapshotty point and shoot situations.
Yep.
You have to want more out of a camera to get more out of a camera. If you're worried about the point and shoot experience, that has been satisfied since the era of the S7. We're good.
Yeah.
You can get refinements on that. I think a Pixel 4a can outperform a Galaxy S7, but we're talking about minutia differences. We're not talking about radical night and day. I just think the pixels are easier to use, so they're a little more fun to shoot with in those kinds of point and shoot snapshotty
Hmm.
kinds of conditions. It's only when we start driving to the extremes of mobile photography, the extremes of low light, really trying to use video capture for more professional content, trying to capture your home movies with an idea that you're going to edit a little bit to make a home movie as opposed to just running these random clips. That's where the conversation becomes more interesting, and that's where that nuance really matters. That's why the difference between a Pixel 6 and a Pixel 5a is going to be interesting to talk about.
Oh,
But
yes.
if you're going to stop at, well, all you should have to do is take the phone out of the box and turn on the camera and just touch the shutter button and never touch any of the other settings, your photography is going to be the same no matter what phone you're on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to want to do something else with your photos and videos. If you're doing the same thing you've been doing since the Galaxy S7, your photos are pretty much going to look the same as they've looked since the Galaxy S7.
Very, very concise and very directly put really nicely, actually. I feel like if you don't try to use the hardware that you're getting to the full extent that you're getting the hardware for, then you're getting
And
the
I'm still
wrong
going to say
hardware.
it, I can't talk about the Pixel 6 Pro to any great degree.
Hmm.
If you're a snapshotty point and shoot kind of person, I genuinely think you'll probably like the experience on a Pixel 5a and save some cash.
No, absolutely. Or even the
Like,
Pixel
that's
5.
easy,
Yeah, yeah, no.
right?
If you really want to stick to it, the Pixel 5a, I mean, just from the sense of the processor
I,
and so on, it's
I
literally it's the XL
yeah,
5G.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
again, so I mean, like the Pixel 5a gets you better speakers than the Pixel 5.
yeah,
You lose the faster refresh rate, but you
yep.
also get better battery life.
Longer
I mean,
battery
again, I'm
life.
happy to give up 120 hertz on the display to get legit over 2 days of runtime on fairly moderate use. So
I may go with you on that one on the 120. I probably want to. I'll live a little bit
it,
better when I'm able to
I,
play games
I,
better
I
at higher refresh
appreciate
rate.
it
Yeah,
and I
no,
like
no,
it, but
yeah,
most of the games I play are going to be frame locked to 60 anyway.
yeah. I was gonna say it
I
depends
mean,
on the
I
game,
can't even
the
get into
library.
battle chasers and keep the frame rate above 30. So what do I care about 120 hertz
120.
display?
But the Twitters, man, the
No,
Instagrams, the Twitter,
Dead Cells looks
Zells,
great at 60 frames per
60 frames per
second. It
second,
looks better at 90, but it looks great at 60.
60. Yeah.
Pascal's Wager. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no way that game's gonna land 120 hertz anytime soon. Like, it's
Actually,
a Souls
okay,
clone.
there's a
It's gonna
very
it's gonna crunch most of these GPUs.
there's a very small selection of games that will even push your system to run at that level of frames per second. One of the reasons why I really like the Xperia One Mark III,
What?
Call of Duty at 120. Yeah,
So yeah, okay. Some of the shooters and stuff like that, I know they have been enabling faster frame rates and stuff. I
and
feel
you need
like
that.
one of the only
Yeah.
games that I consist no, the two games, the two games I consistently install. What's a phone that I can show you the screen on? Hold on. The two games that I consistently install that will like always peg 120. So if
Pac-Man
you've
and
ever
Donkey
wanted to
Kong. No, I'm
play,
just kidding. Greg's taking guesses. He's like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong.
so if you ever want to play draw lines on the colored dots,
Dots.
oh man, this game is a screamer at 120
Yeah, it
hertz.
hurts.
I mean,
Okay.
it is so smooth as you're like drawing these lines to wipe out dots. I mean, I can't imagine my life without 120
120
hertz
hertz on this level.
for my dots game. And then the other one that lists it, but it doesn't look any different, which is hilarious. Is my Klondike. So solitaire.
Oh, solitaire.
Woo, 120 hertz. That's pretty special,
I
guys.
like the waterfall deck at the end. That would be the. What is the dots game called, by the way?
Dots.
Oh, it actually called dots. The dots game. It's
I
called dots.
so
It's called dots.
it's called Dots, a game about connecting or something like that. The subtitle is,
The
I think it's a
subtitle. Yeah.
game about connecting. So the Dots game is one of my favorite, absolute mindless, just want to see pretty colors on a screen kinds of games. One of the times that I flew out, it was for a Huawei event in Munich,
Okay. Yeah.
and
I know
Huawei
Starship.
actually hooked up Pocket Now to send out our editors. So I'm sitting on a plane and we get bumped up to like business class. The
Nice.
entire flight over to Munich, I played Dots the entire flight. So I couldn't sleep. I just can't sleep on airplanes.
I was
And I
about
was
to
a
ask.
mindless zombie in the
it's
zone
yeah, yeah.
the
No,
entire
some
time.
people can, some people can. I mean, I find it hard to sleep. It's a little bit hard, especially with flights and turbulence sometimes and so on. But yeah, no, I feel you, man. I feel you. The games are there's going to be, like I said, the conversation on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, obviously 6 Pro, we don't have the 6, is being put together. We will hopefully have something to discuss and kind of play around. I'm hoping you and I can maybe collaborate a little bit on some of the coverage, and
Yes.
I'm
So
definitely going to be
let's spell that out. We had a conversation offline, and I think it's okay
yeah,
for us to talk about some of the focus that we're going to take.
yeah.
I legitimately cannot cover everything that I would normally cover for my performance testing and
Hmm.
still make this embargo. So TK and I have talked, and we're going to be looking to make complementing videos
Absolutely, yeah.
for the Pixel 6 Pro. I'm going to be leaning a little bit more into some of the content creator benchmarking, like video rendering tests and batch photo processing tests.
Hmm.
And TK is going to tackle more of the fun stuff. You're going to be leaning more into the gaming performance
Gaming
and
performance, yeah.
compatibility and stuff.
It's to me, this is like, it screams that type of an experience for me. Large display, stereo speakers, a decent amount of RAM on the Pro, as we saw already, and I want to be
Yeah.
able to see what the new SoC can perform. I mean, how does this stack up by other
And
standards?
that
Because
GPU. Yeah.
absolutely, the overall horsepower that was presented to us, at least what was announced, I want to see how it works with current gen games. How do they function? How are they compared to the other ones? So those are the things I want to look for, and the fact that we have 120 hertz at a QHD resolution display. So I want to be playing things at the highest possible setting. I want to see again. So that was my initial what I was trying to lead into, is that Juan and I are going to try to tag team it, because I feel
Yes.
like that's a good part of where we can both leverage our own, what we do best. So for us on Monday at least or so, you're going to be looking at it, because as he said, we typically spend more time than just 5 days with a phone for any
This
kind
is
of review.
like the fastest I've been working on any phone in the last couple of
And you
years.
have the Duo, and you
And
have
I
the
have
Duo,
the Duo,
and
and
you went up.
I'm still in the mix on the Vivo. Like I'm not even done
I
on the Vivo yet.
Yeah,
So
no, I know. TK will do the speaker test. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn on the sound and just like, yeah, no.
there you go.
Um, it's definitely going to be requiring more conversations later on, but I'm thinking that it's more so about for Monday what we're trying to shoot for. That is by far, I feel like, the best way for us to leverage, our collaborations and the fact that we work quite well together. So, anyways, look forward Monday, and we're going to be working very hard from now till then to try to make that happen. I do want to say that we are reaching that certain beautiful, perfect timing, and my phone keeps okay. I'm going to
Yeah,
be
we should
getting
probably start
notification
wrapping this up.
from everybody. Um, I want to say
I
thanks to
have
everybody.
done
Yeah.
almost 6 hours of talking today.
Oh crap. Okay. I don't. Okay. I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna say I want to say thanks to everybody for hanging out with us. Everybody taking time of their day. We actually did pretty good today. We were running an average about 30, which is really good for us here on the channel. So we're doing really nice.
Yeah.
For everybody listening, please make sure to like and subscribe if you can. And for everybody listening to the show after this, for the podcast version of this, hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little bit different, but we're very excited with what we have in the studio, and it is going to be busy, but it is going to be basically just seriously a pleasure to try to put this type of content for you guys. I know a lot of people are very excited about the Pixel 6 Pro, as we are, and I will say, of course, thank you to Team Pixel, thank you to Google for allowing us to have these devices to check out ahead of time. Because if we wanted to wait for our devices, we would be in January at this point. It's just crazy. So thanks to Jeff, thanks to Doodle Zinos, Infopinion. Sorry, Greg, Chop is in there. I know. Wait, I think Clay's in there as well. Renesh was in there. Steve DeRoche. Hey man, hope you're doing well. As well as Aditya. Everybody hanging out with us and kicking us. Barry Johnson's in there, and I want to say Fat Produce was in there earlier as well, unless I'm
I thought I saw
mistaken.
Andrew.
Yeah. With everybody hanging out with us, thank you very much for spending some of your time with our best of our week. Our week is still developing, and it is getting better. That's my view on this. Hopefully, I'll see you guys on Saturday with the Saturday morning of tech, as well, of course, capping it back up. Monday is going to be an interesting show for you. It's
Yeah.
going to be an interesting show. You're going to be launching a video and having a show at the same time, so we're going to be talking about that as well.
So I don't think I'm gonna. Last week I didn't have replay on the YouTube just because I couldn't have multiple videos publishing
Yeah,
that way.
I was going to say, yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to be able to do replay on YouTube this next Monday either. It's
The
gonna have
safest
to
bet
stay
is
on
to,
Twitch.
or maybe post it on Tuesday. I don't know.
I have things in the schedule. I mean, I try to keep it. How ridiculous Tech-tober is. I'm trying to keep it to one video per day. So I might not be able to flip it to Tuesday. I'm gonna be right back in dumping another video the day after the podcast. It's nuts.
Okay.
So anyway,
Well, hurrah!
I'll shut up
hurrah.
now so that we can just.
Yeah.
cap
I was
this.
gonna say
Sorry.
hurrah to Tech-tober.
Yeah.
May we survive the next week and a half, so that we can make it. Actually, it's about a week. Yeah, it's a little about a week left or so. But yes, thank you to everybody for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Best of Our Week. Be good, stay well, and thanks to Juan and everybody for hanging out with us, and of course making this literally one of our Best of Our Week moments that we can talk about. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.
Bam.